Silence. That is the first thing they learn. Not how to fight, not how to shoot, not how to disappear. Silence, because in the world of intelligence, the loudest person in the room is already losing. While nations argue, while leaders speak, while crises explode across headlines, there is another world moving quietly underneath it all. A world where nothing happens quickly. A world where patience is power. A world where the most dangerous decisions are made by people you will never see. This is not a story about action. It is not a story about heroes or villains. This is a story about the psychology of the Central Intelligence Agency, and more importantly, about the mindset of the people inside it. Because the CIA does not operate on instinct, it operates on restraint. And restraint is not natural to the human mind. Most people are wired to react, to speak, to intervene, to act when pressure rises. CIA officers are trained to do the opposite, to pause while everything inside them says move, to wait while consequences grow heavier, to watch while others panic. This difference changes how they think, how they see people, and eventually how they see themselves. By the time you finish this documentary, you will understand why CIA officers rarely panic, why they distrust certainty, and why intelligence work leaves marks that never fully disappear. But to understand that, we have to start at the beginning, not with operations, not with missions, but with mindset. Because the CIA does not train behavior first, it trains the mind. From the earliest stages of selection, candidates are forced into discomfort, not physical discomfort, psychological discomfort, uncertainty, contradiction, incomplete information. They are given problems that cannot be solved cleanly, scenarios where every option is flawed, every decision carries risk, and doing nothing is also a choice. Most people hate this. They want clarity. They want instructions. They want to know the right answer. The CIA deliberately removes that. Because intelligence work does not reward certainty, it punishes it. One of the first mental shifts candidates must accept is this: intelligence is not about truth. It is about probability. There is no final answer, only likelihoods, and likelihoods change. This rewires how the brain evaluates information. Instead of asking, "Is this true?" CIA officers are trained to ask, "How reliable is this source? What are they not telling us? What happens if this is wrong?" They learn that confidence is dangerous. Certainty creates blind spots, and blind spots get people killed. So they learn to live in doubt, not anxiety, not fear. Controlled doubt. A permanent state of mental caution. This is why CIA reports are filled with qualifiers, confidence levels, and probabilities. Not because they are unsure, but because they understand something most people don't. Reality does not present itself clearly. It leaks out slowly, through fragments, through lies, through people with agendas. And the mind that survives intelligence work is the one that resists the urge to simplify. This mindset affects everything: how they listen, how they speak, how they judge people, and most importantly, how they wait. Waiting is not passive inside the CIA. It is active psychological pressure. CIA officers are trained to sit with information that suggests something bad is coming, sometimes very bad, and still do nothing. Not because they don't care, but because acting too early can destroy years of work. A single premature move can expose sources, burn networks, and permanently blind future intelligence. So they wait, and waiting changes the brain. The human mind is not built to tolerate prolonged uncertainty. Most people feel stress when outcomes are delayed. They seek closure. They want resolution. CIA officers are conditioned to deny that instinct. They learn that urgency is often an illusion, that crises create emotional pressure designed to force mistakes, and that the person who moves first often reveals the most. This creates an unsettling truth. Sometimes the CIA knows something is wrong and chooses not to act immediately. Not out of indifference, but out of calculation. Because intelligence work is not about stopping events. It is about understanding them deeply enough to shape what comes next. This is uncomfortable to hear. It should be, because it reveals how different this mindset really is. CIA officers are not rewarded for heroics. They are rewarded for restraint, for choosing silence over intervention, for choosing patience over panic. And that restraint does not end at work. It follows them everywhere. This brings us to recruitment. The CIA does not recruit who you think it does. They are not looking for thrill seekers. They are not looking for loud confidence. They are not looking for people who crave recognition. Those traits are liabilities. Instead, they look for people who can tolerate being invisible. People who do not need credit. People who do not need to be believed. People who do not need to explain themselves. This is rare. Most societies reward visibility, attention, validation. The CIA selects against it. Because intelligence work offers none of those things. No applause, no public success, no acknowledgement. In fact, success often looks like nothing happened, and failure often looks the same. Candidates are tested psychologically for how they handle isolation, ambiguity, and emotional suppression. Those who need reassurance don't last. Those who need to be right don't last. Those who need to be seen don't last. Because intelligence work slowly strips away external validation, all that remains is internal discipline. And that discipline is tested most severely when officers are sent overseas. Operating undercover is not acting. 'Tis living a constructed reality, a name that is not yours, a history that never existed, relationships built on partial truths. This is not occasional deception. It is sustained psychological performance, day after day, year after year. And the mind adapts. CIA officers learn to compartmentalize, to separate who they are from who they appear to be. But compartments leak. The longer a cover identity is maintained, the more real it begins to feel. This creates a quiet psychological tension. Which self is authentic? The one that no one sees, or the one that everyone believes? CIA training does not resolve this tension. It teaches officers to live with it. Because emotional clarity is not a requirement of the job. Control is. This same emotional discipline extends to how CIA officers view other people. They are trained to observe humans not as stories, but as patterns, motivations, pressures, inconsistencies. When recruiting assets, they do not start with trust. They start with analysis. What does this person want? What do they fear? What do they hide? Not to judge them, but to understand them. This creates another uncomfortable truth. CIA officers are trained to understand people deeply without becoming attached to them. Empathy is allowed. Attachment is dangerous. Because attachment clouds judgment, and judgment must remain clear. This does not mean CIA officers are emotionless. It means they learn to suppress emotion when it interferes with outcomes. Over time, this suppression becomes automatic. And automatic suppression comes with a cost. But that cost is rarely discussed publicly. Because intelligence culture does not reward vulnerability, it rewards stability. Even when stability is artificial, even when it requires emotional isolation. By this point, you may be wondering why anyone would choose this life. Why someone would accept anonymity, psychological pressure, and permanent uncertainty. The answer is not excitement. It is not power. It is purpose. CIA officers are trained to believe that preventing surprise is more important than preventing harm. Because surprise changes history. Surprise starts wars. Surprise collapses governments. Surprise kills thousands before anyone understands why. Their mission is foresight, not control, not domination. Prediction, and prediction requires distance. From emotion, from ideology. From certainty, this is the foundation of the CIA mind. Everything else builds on it. In the next part, we will go deeper into the psychological weight of recruitment, the silent guilt officers carry, and the internal rules that govern decisions no one will ever know they made. What if I told you that the most important weapon a spy carries isn't a gadget or a gun, but what's between their ears? We've all seen the movies, the car chases, the gadgets, the dramatic showdowns. But the real world of a CIA officer is a game played in the mind. It's a world of high-stakes psychology, where understanding human behavior is the key to survival and success. So, what really goes on inside the head of a CIA officer? What kind of person can handle a life of secrets, deception, and constant pressure? Today, we're pulling back the curtain to explore the fascinating psychology behind one of the world's most mysterious professions. Let's dive into the mind of a spy. The journey to becoming a CIA officer starts with a recruitment process that's more like a psychological deep dive than a typical job interview. They're not just looking for someone who's smart. They're looking for a specific psychological profile. Think of it as casting for the most demanding role you could ever imagine. The key traits. First up is emotional stability. An officer's daily life can swing from mundane to life-threatening in seconds. They need an unshakable inner calm, the ability to keep their cool when everything is falling apart. Imagine having to make a critical decision with sirens blaring in the background, or while knowing your cover might be blown. That requires a level of composure most of us never have to muster. Next is a high degree of conscientiousness. This isn't just about being tidy. It's about being meticulous, detail-oriented, and reliable. In the world of intelligence, a forgotten detail or a small mistake can have catastrophic consequences. It could mean a failed mission, or worse, danger to oneself or others. So, they look for people who are naturally driven to do things right every single time. There's no room for good enough. Then there's adaptability. A CIA officer might be in a fancy embassy one day and a dusty back alley the next. They need to blend in anywhere with anyone. This requires a chameleon-like ability to adjust their behavior, their accent, and even their personality to fit the situation. This isn't just acting. It's about genuinely connecting with people from all walks of life, making them trust you even when you're not being your true self. And perhaps most importantly, they need a strong sense of patriotism and ethics. This might sound counterintuitive for a job that involves deception, but it's the moral compass that guides them. Officers are entrusted with national secrets and the power to influence world events. Their motivation can't be money or thrill-seeking. It has to be a deep-seated belief that they are serving a cause greater than themselves. This internal anchor is what keeps them grounded and focused through the immense psychological challenges of the job. Once an officer is in the field, the psychological game truly begins. A huge part of their work is what's known as elicitation. This isn't the aggressive interrogation you see in films. It's the subtle art of getting someone to give you information without them even realizing they're doing it. It's a masterclass in social psychology. Officers learn to read body language, tone of voice, and micro-expressions to understand what someone is truly thinking and feeling. They use techniques like active listening, making the other person feel heard and understood, which naturally makes them want to share more. They might use the principle of reciprocity. If you offer a small, seemingly insignificant piece of information about yourself, the other person feels a psychological pull to share something in return. Or they might feign ignorance on a topic, prompting the other person to correct them and, in the process, reveal valuable details. It's all about creating a conversational environment where information flows naturally. The officer is like a social engineer, building rapport and trust as tools to gently unlock the secrets they need. The goal isn't to break someone down. It's to make them a willing, albeit unwitting, source of intelligence. Living a double life is perhaps the most defining and psychologically taxing aspect of being a CIA officer. This isn't just about having a cover story, it's about living it, day in and day out. This constant state of deception creates something called cognitive dissonance, the mental stress of holding two contradictory beliefs at the same time. You are who you are, but you must also be someone else entirely. Your friends, your neighbors, maybe even some of your family, can't know the truth about what you do. Every conversation is a potential minefield where you have to remember who you're supposed to be, what you're supposed to know, and what you're not supposed to know. This constant performance is incredibly draining. It can lead to a sense of isolation, a feeling that no one truly knows you. The relationships an officer builds under their cover can feel real, but there's always a barrier, a secret that can't be shared. This creates a profound sense of loneliness. They might celebrate birthdays with people who know them by a different name or share laughs over jokes that are part of a manufactured identity. The psychological weight of this is immense. The officer has to compartmentalize their life, creating mental boxes to separate their true self from their cover identity. It's a survival mechanism, but it comes at a cost, blurring the lines between who they are and who they pretend to be. The stress on a CIA officer is unlike almost any other profession. It's not just the risk of physical danger, which is very real. It's the chronic, grinding psychological pressure. There's the stress of performance constantly being on, maintaining cover, and producing results. A missed signal or a misinterpreted conversation could have serious repercussions. Then there's the moral stress. Officers often have to befriend people with the ultimate intention of betraying their trust. They might have to manipulate someone they've grown to genuinely like in order to get information. This can create a deep sense of guilt and internal conflict. They operate in a world of ambiguity, where right and wrong are often shades of gray. Making decisions with incomplete information is the norm, and the weight of those decisions rests squarely on their shoulders. To cope, the CIA provides extensive psychological support. Officers have access to psychologists and counselors who understand the unique pressures of the job. They learn stress management techniques, resilience training, and ways to decompress and process their experiences. This support system is critical. It helps them maintain their mental health and prevent burnout, ensuring they can continue to operate effectively in one of the most demanding environments on Earth. It's a recognition that the mind is the most vital asset, and it needs to be protected and maintained just like any other piece of critical equipment. So, what happens when an officer's career comes to an end? Transitioning back to a normal life can be one of the biggest challenges. After years of living with secrets, heightened awareness, and a high-stakes mission, the ordinary world can feel dull and strange. The habit of scanning rooms for threats, analyzing people's motives, and being wary of revealing personal information doesn't just switch off. This is often referred to as hypervigilance. It's a state of being constantly on guard, which is essential for survival in the field, but can be alienating in civilian life. Simple things like casual conversation can feel difficult when you're reused to every word having a hidden meaning or purpose. There's also the challenge of identity. For years, their identity was intertwined with their secret work and their cover. When that's gone, they can face a crisis of purpose. Who am I without the mission? Reintegrating with family and friends can also be tough. The officer has a wealth of experiences they can't share, creating a gap that can be hard to bridge. It's a journey of rediscovery, of learning to live without the secrets and the adrenaline. Many former officers find new purpose in consulting, teaching, or writing, using their unique skills and experiences in a new context. But the psychological imprint of their former life remains. It's a permanent reminder of the extraordinary world they once inhabited. The psychology of a CIA officer is a story of incredible human resilience, mental fortitude, and profound sacrifice. It's a world far removed from Hollywood fiction, grounded in the complex realities of human nature. These individuals are masters of observation, influence, and self-control, navigating a world where trust is a currency and information is power. They live with the constant weight of their secrets and the moral ambiguities of their work, all driven by a commitment to a cause larger than themselves. It's a testament to what the human mind can endure and achieve when pushed to its absolute limits. Some changes do not announce themselves. They settle in quietly. After years in side intelligence work, CIA officers do not suddenly become different people. They become narrower, more focused, more controlled, more distant. The world outside intelligence runs on emotion, immediacy, and reaction. The world inside intelligence runs on delay, caution, and suppression. Living between those worlds creates friction. Over time, that friction reshapes identity. Many officers describe a moment when they realize they no longer respond the way others do. Tragedy does not shock them. Urgency does not rush them. Anger does not provoke them. Not because they do not feel, but because feeling has learned to wait its turn. This emotional restraint is useful in operations. It is less useful in ordinary life. Conversations feel slower. Conflicts feel exaggerated. Certainty feels naive. And slowly, unintentionally, distance grows. CIA officers are trained to manage threats, not relationships. They learn how to read deception, but not always how to explain silence. They learn how to anticipate betrayal, but not always how to trust openly again. This creates a quiet tension that follows them long after assignment's end. Leaving the CIA does not turn the switch off. The mindset remains. Former officers often say they still think in probabilities, still scan rooms unconsciously, still notice inconsistencies in behavior, still pause before reacting. The training does not fade, it integrates. And this raises a difficult question. What does intelligence work take from the people who do it? Not in obvious ways, not in dramatic breakdowns or visible scars, but in subtler exchanges. A reduced tolerance for simplicity, a permanent awareness of risk, a lingering skepticism toward narratives. These traits are adaptive inside intelligence. Outside it, they can feel isolating. Because the CIA's mind is not designed for peace. It is designed for uncertainty. This is why retirement from intelligence is rarely clean. Even after leaving the agency, officers continue to evaluate information through the same internal filters. They still ask, who benefits from this story? What is missing? What is being emphasized too strongly? This skepticism does not disappear. It becomes part of how reality is processed. And with that skepticism comes a heavy realization. Most of what intelligence officers know cannot be shared. Not because it is classified, but because it would not be understood. Intelligence context is fragile. Remove it, and information becomes misleading. So silence continues, even after the job ends. This sustained silence shapes how officers view morality. Intelligence work rarely offers moral clarity. There are no perfect choices, only trade-offs. Every decision carries unintended consequences. Helping one group may destabilize another. Preventing one crisis may enable another. CIA officers are trained to accept this ambiguity, not to celebrate it, but to endure it. This endurance requires a specific internal belief that the role of intelligence is not to make the world good. It is to make the world less surprising. This belief separates intelligence from ideology. CIA officers are not trained to defend values. They are trained to protect interests, and interests change. This does not make intelligence immoral. It makes it pragmatic. But pragmatism, over time, can feel emotionally empty, which is why many officers struggle with a final internal conflict. Did my work matter? There is no clear answer. Intelligence success is invisible by design. If a disaster never happens, there is no proof it was prevented. If a conflict is delayed, history may never record the reason. CIA officers must accept that their contribution may never be validated. This acceptance is one of the hardest psychological adjustments, because humans seek meaning through recognition. Intelligence denies recognition. And so officers learn to derive meaning from discipline itself, from showing up, from analyzing carefully, from maintaining restraint even when emotions push otherwise. This is not glamorous. It is not cinematic. It is repetitive, mentally exhausting, and deeply human. The CIA mind is not cold. It is contained. It is not fearless. It is cautious. It is not powerful. It is patient, and patience sustained over years changes people. Not into villains, not into heroes, into observers. People who understand how fragile systems are, how quickly trust collapses, how easily narratives shift, and how often history is shaped by small, quiet decisions made far from cameras. This understanding brings a final, unsettling clarity. Most of the world operates on confidence and belief. Intelligence operates on doubt. And doubt, properly disciplined, is one of the most powerful tools the human mind possesses. The CIA institutionalizes doubt, not to undermine reality, but to survive it. This is why CIA officers rarely speak in absolutes, why they resist emotional language, why they hesitate when others rush. They are trained to assume that what they see is incomplete, that what they know may be wrong, and that the most dangerous moment is when something feels obvious. This mindset is not accidental. It is taught, reinforced, rewarded, and once learned, it does not leave. This is the final truth about the psychology of the CIA. It is not about secrecy for its own sake. It is about restraint, restraint of action, restraint of emotion, restraint of certainty. Because intelligence understands what panic produces, what urgency destroys, what confidence hides. Silence is not absence, it is space. Space to observe, space to evaluate, space to decide without being driven by fear. This is why the CIA mind often feels alien. It is built for a world most people never see. A world where the cost of being wrong is not embarrassment. It is irreversible consequence. And so the waiting continues. The analysis continues. The silence continues. Not because nothing is happening, but because everything is being measured. This is not the psychology of dominance. It is the psychology of restraint. And restraint, when sustained long enough, becomes identity. Disclaimer: this documentary is based on publicly available information, declassified materials, academic research, and verified accounts from former intelligence professionals. It does not reveal classified information, operational details, or sensitive methods. The purpose of this content is educational and analytical, not promotional or critical of any individual or institution. Interpretations presented reflect psychological frameworks used in intelligence analysis and should not be understood as definitive representations of all intelligence, personnel, or activities.